Hi, beautiful ladies and gentlemen, if you come in later, but I can see it's all ladies in here at the moment. Lovely to see you guys. Hi, Diana. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Carol. Some of my favorites in here. It's always a quiet time, but I still thought I would pop on and say hello. I feel like I've just been doing a lot of heavy analytical videos recently, and I'm like, maybe today we just do something a bit informal, just have a bit of a chat because even I'm getting a bit overloaded with some of the content at the moment. So I thought today just be relaxing and figuring out what people want to know more about or talk more about in our videos because I tend to be a bit too formal, I think, a lot of the time. And it's holiday season, so maybe people don't want to be so formal right now. So, yeah, today I thought we'd just chat about random stuff about Delphi, any questions people have. I prepared something about the whole Turco stuff and ritual stuff, but interestingly, in the poll, nobody chose Odinism and rituals and stuff like that. So maybe we can leave that for another day. But nice to see everyone. Feel free to chat if you want to come join me. I'll drop a link because we are just going to do a super casual chat this evening. So I just looked, I'm like, the three of us will do a simple chat this evening. Knowing me, if we don't fill the gaps with chat, then I will info dump because I like to info dump. And I do have some info about rituals and crime scene and things like that again, because I always have thoughts. I think you guys all know that by now. I was reflecting actually the other day. I think I've told you guys before that my kids know what I'm doing, that I'm advocating for Richard Allen. And they often talk about, oh, hey, Cecil, nice to see you, about getting Richard Allen out of jail and how mummy's going to be a big star from doing that. They don't really realize that my YouTube channel just really doesn't make a lot of money and it probably never will. So advocating for Richard Allen is more a passion rather than becoming some. I don't know. I don't even know how they think I'm going to become some billionaire. I think I've just raised my kids to be dreamers like I am. So they get super excited and they think that we're going to make it big only so we can build a cat sanctuary because that's our dream. It's not about making money to drive fancy cars. It's literally so we can make a big cat sanctuary. We were dreaming about this the other day. It's going to have, you know, how you can get those bushes that you can kind of shape into different things like the hedges. So there's one near us and the boys love it. So we're going to have the cat sanctuary on the hill. It's going to look like Palm Springs because I love the Palm Springs aesthetic. Hey, Mustang, nice to see you. And so we're going to do Palm Springs on a big mountain near the coast. And then we're going to have these two big hedges. One's going to be a cat one and one's going to be a dog one. So lucky people that end up living near us if that dream ever comes true because it will be a spectacle. That's for sure. It resonates with or reminds me of a Taylor Swift lyric. You know, I always quote Taylor, "The Great American Dynasty, the most shameless woman this town has ever seen," or something like that. So basically, yeah, that's the plan, guys. So if you ever see an animal sanctuary with hedges that look like cats and dogs and it looks like Palm Springs, you'll know it's me. Come on in, come say hello. So, yeah, I need 1 billion subscribers to get to there. So keep subscribing, guys. Let's get the whole world interested in Knowledge Sea, in Richard Allen, and what else do I like talking about? Geofencing, toolmark analysis. I realize that the content on my channel is very, very specific and niche. So there's kind of going to be a point at which we plateau because most people, even if they're interested in true crime, don't want to dive into understanding knowledge C data. But I love it that the people in here do. I got a really cool comment and email today from somebody who, oh, hey, Anna, nice to see you, from a lawyer here in Australia who was endorsing some of my ideas around toolmark analysis and also kind of weighing in about the ruling we talked about, the Oregon ruling. And that was pretty cool. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone is an expert in any of the stuff we talk about, if anyone is a legal professional and they want to come chat with me, please join me. I'm always just chatting on my own here. I'm a little lonely person. I got two snoring dogs next to me though. Anyway, I'm just babbling, guys, because I usually go straight in for the jugular with science and research and evidence. And I thought, let's try to make everything all casual and just enjoy a little chat. I didn't expect to have 15 people in here at this time because I know it's a pretty bad time of the day, but for you guys, not for me. Does anyone want to come and chat with me? If you do, let me know. I did drop the link. I'm not sure if it worked, but happy to drop it again if anyone wants to come and chat. Dee Dee, you're always welcome to come and chat. I haven't spoken properly to you in too long. Anarch, if you want to come have a chat. Jenny, Mustang. I don't know if I can convince most of you. It was so exciting. I convinced Dee the other day and she came and had a chat with me. That was super cool. Dee and I had a nice lengthy phone chat too. It's so nice to just chat with everyone and get to know you guys properly. So if anyone wants to chat, you know I'm not a scary host here. I won't bite. So you are totally welcome to come join me. But yeah, I've been definitely looking into some of the ritual stuff. I still stick by my sticks as functional braces hypothesis. I don't like going back to the stick stuff because it's the darkest part of this case. Like, I really hate thinking about the girls and the crime scene, but I think it's a good. I think it's a good. Gosh, I'm a little bit up myself, aren't I? But I do think it's a good therapy theory. My goodness, guys, my words. I always do this. I get tongue tied. Anarch's going to come chat. Yes, come. I'm going to drop the link. Please come. I'd love to have a chat with you. We'll get a really cool British accent up here. I've got my posh Australian accent, half British, half Australian, but Anarch has got a full British accent. Apparently, that gives us a lot of credibility. So, Anna, come join me. And if Kelly's around, she should come join me too. I would love to stream with some others. It's been a bit lonely. Josh and I are still trying to tee up a time to stream. We just live in the most ridiculously opposite time zones, but there is the plan for Josh, low light discovery. Low light discovery. I'm really losing it today, guys. Low light recovery to come and join me later in the week. So that's the plan. We are going to have a chat about some of the digital stuff. Yeah. Everyone's welcome to join though today. We're just chatting. As long as everybody's kind and respectful, you're welcome to join my stream today and have a chat. We're just making it a community hour. Oh, Mustang, that's okay. If people are in another chat, that's okay. It is what it is. We've got 15 people in here, so that's pretty cool. And we got Anna coming in. Yay. Hello. Oh, I can't hear you.
Help.
Oh, now I can hear you. Yay. Hey, nice to see you.
How you doing?
Good. Nice to catch up properly.
Yeah.
What time is it over there?
Give me a second. It's 10:40. 10:40.
Oh, okay.
It's 10:40 a.m.
Okay, you're in the morning. And I'm
Oh,
at
hang on.
9:40 p.m.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, it's glitching a little bit. Are you hearing me okay, Anarch? Oh, okay, we've lost Anarch, but oh, there you go, you're back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anarch,
11 hours,
anything?
I believe. 11
Yes,
hours
11
teleporting.
hours. For sure, yeah. So I think I don't have to said
Yeah,
before,
it is.
I have relatives over in the UK.
The
Actually, so yeah, I have to deal with this time difference.
yeah, if you could.
I think your internet connection's just jamming up a little bit, Anarch. Unfortunately, can't hear you properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of pausing every few seconds, which is a shame. Or maybe it's getting better. Let's hope. Oh, okay. Wait a second. Okay, perfect. We're setting it up. Yeah. Okay, so we're hoping to get Anarch a better connection. Lovely Kelly's helping with that. And Kelly, come and say hi as well.
Yeah. Hang on.
Where do I put it?
I have no idea. I would imagine
Anarch and Kelly are such a lovely couple. I love you guys. You're so kind and always really, really nice to chat to.
Where's the Ethernet cable on this one?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, it seems it's getting better already.
Have you got the right way around, Kelly? Because this is a bit. Oh, hang on. Do you have to take this bit off?
No, you don't.
Because that's a bit too big for that slot.
Chat's super quiet. Come on, guys. Have a chat with us. Everyone's super quiet.
Hang on, guys. Sorry about this.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You take your time. I'm just getting the people in the chat to talk a bit more. Everyone's a bit quiet tonight or today for you guys. So interesting. No one wants to talk about the Odinism stuff. Maybe it's been done to death this week. Everyone's been talking about that Turco interview.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wait, do you want to swap it around? We could try swapping it around with that bit.
Gosh, modern technology, right, guys? It's always a drama, isn't
it? Probably not compatible for a laptop.
It seems to be better now. You're not glitching as much. So I guess while we're waiting for Anarch to connect, does anyone, I know I'm going against the poll because nobody wanted to talk about ritual, but does anyone in here truly believe that Delphi is a ritual crime, like a ritual murder? I'm curious to know. Maybe I should pop a poll in about that. So I think I've made it pretty clear that I think that there are symbolic elements, but I don't see it as a pure ritual. I see it more as an organized sadistic offender. I've said that so many times it rolls off my tongue now.
Hold it up.
I'm going to do a new poll for you guys.
Idea.
Oh, hey, Carla Ann. Yeah, Mustang and see-through. I know you guys don't think it's a ritual, right? Okay. Yeah, Ted's a new guy. I hadn't seen Ted before until recently. Carol, you got the hots for Ted. Ted reminds me a little bit, actually. He looks a little bit like a lawyer that I totally had a crush on. I don't know if any of you guys followed the Adelson's case, but back in yay, we're fitting, and I'm just sharing my sharing my embarrassing crush story, my true crime crush. So I watched a lot of the Adelson stuff, but there was a trial of oh goodness, I should know. Oh, Catherine McBanower, one of her lawyers, Chris DeCoste. Oh my goodness, he was very handsome, and I just thought he was just like had a really good vibe about him. So shout out to Chris DeCoste. If you're around, please come chat with us. But Ted looks a bit like Chris DeCoste, I think. So there you go. Anyway, I'm just having a little bit of a schoolgirl crush there, and so is Carol from the sounds of it. I know Diana often has a little schoolgirl crush. There's some law enforcement guy that she liked to put up on her lives. I can't remember, but he was handsome.
Any friends have you got YouTube? broken on StreamYard.
Yeah, hang on.
That could be the problem. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, and we won't ask you about your true crime crush because
That's better.
Kelly's there in the
Sorry.
background.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's fine.
Have you got a true crime crush?
I've had to slightly shift location to. Do I? No. No. Not at all.
Okay,
Not
well,
at all.
we'll get more
yeah.
serious now. We were just being a bit silly.
That's all right. So
Hi, Pauline.
how are you guys doing over there? You all good?
I think everyone's good. We're getting a few more people chatting. It was a bit quiet to begin with, but everyone's kind of coming in and having a chat. Anything you want to talk about, Anak, in terms of Delphi?
Yeah. Now, as to regarding the sticks and branches that were left on the scene of the crime, they do look like they were used to literally pin the two girls down rather than having any form of symbology in itself. This is from a method that was utilized by the Native Americans back during the French Indian War, specifically. Now, of course, during those times, much more brutal, much more nastier. But to see such a method again used in modern day is very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare to see that.
Well, I was actually just looking at the statistics. So the statistics for an organized offender, actually, I'll pull them up. But first of all, the statistics for a ritual killing is incredibly low. It's like super, super rare, even rarer than, serial killers and things like that. But I actually pulled up the stats because it is rare for there to be what they call a tableau, sort of a not symbolic, but organized symbolic crime scene. It's super, super rare. And it absolutely, again, points away from Richard Allen because unless we're to believe that Richard Allen just suddenly, became a sadistic offender at the age of 44, that is so rare, as I always say. And where did he get the knowledge from? Yeah, exactly. It's like I always go back to it being, to me, a really good piece of evidence against Rick Allen being the offender because, to have had that organized mindset to pin the bodies or brace the bodies in that way with the sticks. Yeah. I think that really doesn't align with Rick's confession. So we've debunked Rick's confession, basically.
That's completely debunked his confession, which was actually held under duress.
Exactly. It's not a real confession anyway.
Which is in direct contravention to certain United Nations and international laws.
Yep.
The only places that are allowed to do that sort of thing is like military-held sites and places like Guantanamo Bay and various other black sites throughout the US and the UK and Europe.
Yeah, my goodness.
Just
horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff.
And it's a totally implausible sort of sequence of events, right? Because if he was looking to sexually offend, then you would pick one victim, not two. And presumably Betsy Blair's on the trails that day too. Like, why not pick Betsy Blair because she was on her own then? It's very rare for a sex offender to choose two victims in a public place. And then, it's very rare for them to then panic and go across a creek and kill them.
Yeah. That I'm sorry, but with all due respect, that doesn't wash to me because there is no way that a 44-year-old male could have done all of that within a certain time frame, especially not by himself.
No, and not if we're to believe this is his first ever sadistic offense too, because I know people like to say, well, we never know what happened in the past. Well, actually, we kind of do because we have now social media and, advanced DNA methods and all of those things. If he had committed another sadistic homicide at some point, there'd be most likely some record of that. He's been incarcerated for 3 years. Not even one person's come forward to say Rich Allen has any sadistic traits. So, I know people say you never truly know someone, but that, to me, that's saying, well, I mean, no one ever truly knows me then. But I'm pretty sure most of you would balk if you found out that I was the offender.
Yeah, it's almost like, say, for instance, now I'm age 47, right? And one day I could just suddenly walk out the flat and go and do a similar thing to two young ladies. Now,
yep.
In the UK, at the moment, the justice system is completely screwed to hell. So, there's no way I would ever do this because I'm not that kind of person. I don't go out there and murder two little girls just for the fun of it.
No.
There will be, in most cases involving serial killers or multiple homicides, there's always an MO. There's always a modus operandi.
Absolutely.
This, however, has not fitted a single one in major caseloads over the last 10 years.
Yep.
That's how rare it is.
Yep.
Okay.
So talking about rarity, this was the statistics that I kind of pulled up. I'm working on this. I will make this a more kind of structured video at some point about the ritual and Turco stuff. But yeah, so sorry, highlighting it there. So about 8.35% of scenes show some staging. But remember, staging can also just be trying to cover it up and look like a burglary when it's actually, a domestic violence sort of situation. But only about 0.3% involve true posing. I mean, that's tiny, right? But it's even less that involve ritual. I had a statistic for that too. But anyway, look, I don't know where it is right now, but so it's still more likely that it would be a pose signature than it is for it to be a true ritual killing. There aren't really very many. I asked AI, what are some ritual killings that are known of from the 2000s onwards, and it could really only pull up a few different ones. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a ritual killing. Could it be pseudo ritual? Potentially. Whoever did this probably had some ritualistic, symbolic understanding. Again, I don't think Rick was playing with tarot cards and engaging in any asatru or however you say it. He wasn't. There was no evidence and there's no leakage.
There's absolutely zero evidence of Mr. Allen's involvement in asatru or otherwise.
Of course.
So the tarot cards, the tarot card symbology actually do fit some elements of Norse runic symbology.
They do,
that was at the scene of the crime. But you'd have to look at things as in the date is significant for a start. It's known as Valsblad, which is, it's like it's a small festival just before the Christian St. Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's relatively quite small compared to other festivals that the Norse pagans have, such as Ostara, which is Easter in Christian terms, Yule, again, Christmas, and then you've got the one for Helgsnatt, which is basically Halloween.
Okay.
But they do have a certain set of festivals for, I think it's every month of the year. And Valsblad was the 13th of February going into the 14th.
Okay.
So thankfully it wasn't called Vidarsblad. Vidarsblad was the festival given to the god of vengeance, Vidar.
Right, okay. Do you feel that there is a meaning to the bodies being posed the way they are? Like, do you have any sort of interpretation of the bodies?
The way I see it is the positioning of the two bodies were where their toes were almost aligned in a V. Literally in a V, like they would have been facing literally like that.
Yeah.
In a V shape.
Yeah.
That particular symbol has been featured in so many different variations throughout. Indeed, like you're looking at what they call them, the Masons, and that's one of their biggest symbol, believe it or not.
Okay.
The Norse runics don't really use it all that often, so they won't actually utilize that particular. But in the fact that Odinism and a Satru are so closely aligned, you can actually be a Norse pagan and a Mason at exactly the same time.
Right. Okay.
So you're basically essentially serving two masters.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
Valisblot, it was a festival of, well, Odin's son, basically. Because Valis or Vala is basically like a day of glory, if you will.
Okay. Gosh, it's just a lot to get your head around, isn't it? Goodness, I mean, like I know nothing about any of this stuff. This is very new to me.
I've studied Norse mythology and Norse culture since I was about the age of 6.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There you go. Well, you're going to be my go-to then, because I'd never heard of this before, and I was definitely one of those people that initially was like, no, that does sound far-fetched. However, as time went on and I learned more about the Odin argument, I don't believe that the crime was motivated by Odinism, but does it have some Odinism symbolism in it? Yes. And I think this is where the line gets sort of hazy, because I agree a ritualistic killing is incredibly rare and may seem more absurd to people because it's not super likely. But I think the sort of pseudo-ritualized idea where there's, the motive is sadism and maybe even some personal elements in it. I personally believe that the girls knew at least somebody related to the killer. And so to answer one of the questions in the chat, I think that they were going there.
Oh, they had knowledge of their killer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think there's a personal element to it, but I don't think, again, that's the pure motive. I think this is the issue. It's such a hybrid case that it's a tricky one for people to get their head around. It's not completely random, like, a serial killer's just at the trails and goes, oh, cool, let's jump upon these two girls right now. But it also isn't personal in a sense of like, domestic sort of situation where a boyfriend necessarily kills a girlfriend. It seems like it's kind of a hybrid of a lot of things in my impression anyway.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely not a crime of opportunity either.
No.
This was pre-planned and executed with almost precision.
Absolutely. Definitely very precise. I had a little theory, Anak. I don't know if you saw this. This was live a little while ago. It just came to me, and I haven't really explored it in much detail. But I was curious as to whether maybe the initial intention was to abduct the girls. The 207 car that pulls into the private drive, I wonder if the gate stopped it. And so instead they did kind of ad-lib a little bit and committed the crime in the woods. But then I'm also of the opinion that the woods was meaningful too. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, they could have only anticipated one girl being there. They were probably not expecting two girls to be there. And if that was the case, then they're obviously thinking, well, hang on a minute, the other girl's a potential witness.
Yep.
Therefore, if we get rid of both of them at exactly the same time, now as per the area of woodland that they were found in, it has all kinds of species of trees, obviously. Birches. It's right by a river, which is hugely symbolic in Norse paganism and indeed Norse culture.
And bridge as well. Do you think the bridge is symbolic too?
It's isolated. It's isolated enough. Plus,
what was it you said about the two trees?
I was looking at I think it was the Prost channel one day, and he was actually doing a fly through using a drone, showing some culverts.
I saw that. Yeah.
Now those culverts you could easily put 2, 3, 4 people down those culverts, just as easily.
Yeah. So do you feel like there were multiple people involved at the actual crime scene?
If I was to look at it from a certain point of view, you would need within the region of about 4, maybe 5 people to pull this kind of thing off.
Yeah.
2 drivers and the rest to be the obvious hit team, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced that the old car seen near the CPS, I'm convinced that Comet-style car is a lookout. It's just the perfect position to see people coming across Freedom Bridge, people entering from the CPS.
It's just,
and the fact that
it's too well aligned. It's too well aligned.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I have a very unpopular opinion. I do believe Rick parks at the CPS too. However, I believe there's 2 cars. His car is seen between the hours of 1 and 2, which I actually think is incredibly, it's an exculpatory piece of information because nobody sees that car. There's a weird thing in the PCA with Wesley McWhirter. We've talked about that before, but I think Betsy Blair just muddles the 2 cars together, which is easy to do. Memory for cars is terrible.
Now, the odds of having 2 cars that are exactly the same make and model appearing within an hour or 2 of each other, that's a very rare occurrence to actually think of.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of unknowns still. I've listened to Rick's interrogation video. I don't even know how many times. I've lost count now trying to figure out what he's actually saying. I have lots of theories of things he says that other people don't seem to read the same way as me. But, the 2 cars that he says he sees at the mirrors, I do believe, I know it's really coincidental timing, but it's not so coincidental when you think of it from a kind of cognition and cognitive psychology angle. I think maybe, we get that sort of awareness that something or someone is around us, and we can sometimes not be, I can't think of the word, but consciously kind of aware. But that, I feel like Betsy Blair kind of skimming past him as she kind of goes, is what sets him out of whatever he's, kind of daze he's in, looking at his stocks or daydreaming. And he gets up and he doesn't see Betsy Blair, and he heads back and he sees Betsy Blair and Kelsey's car and leaves. And I feel like he leaves the trails at around 2:00, which again aligns with when all of this awful stuff starts, because he's the only man on the trails before the girls go missing. I think he would have been a threat to the offender. They don't want a man on the trails. They're not worried about Betsy Blair.
He would have definitely identified as a threat to the offender, I would imagine.
I think so too. I mean, yes, he's a shorter man, but he is still, he's a robust man. And I mean, I feel really quite sad because I see this picture in my mind of him getting up off the bench and heading in the other direction, and the girls, just a few minutes later headed in the direction of the 501 towards the bridge. And it's like both their paths just miss each other by a split second, and it seals their fate. The two girls obviously, meet their untimely death, and Rick is going through this hell, because I think Rick would have intervened if he saw anything bad happening to those girls. I just, that's the sense I get. I think most dads are like that. I think most men are like that, but most dads are like that particularly. I know my dad would have put himself in the line of risk, even though he wasn't a particularly strong guy, if he saw a girl being hurt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, for instance, when I go out just to do a bit of shopping over the local store.
Yeah.
If I see a little girl being hurt in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll step in.
Yeah.
I will actually physically step in and deal with them. Because it's almost like an instinct.
Absolutely.
A very protective instinct. Now,
and again, I think that's actually again, I think, backed up, as far as I'm aware, by research, that we do have that protective instinct towards younger people, for sure. And I'd be the same. I mean, if you see a child crying, I definitely look twice to see, why they're crying, what's happening, are they okay? Yeah.
And now it's like, well, the thing is with Rick, he could have saw something on that bridge that day.
Yeah.
But,
well, I definitely wonder if they kind of weren't super interested in him back in 2017, because they knew he wasn't the offender. I do believe they cleared him, but I think that he was very close to when the offense occurred. And, his memory is pretty good. I mean, look at Rick in 2022. He's telling us some pretty detailed stuff. He's a very conscientious man. I get that sense. He's like, I need to remember as much as I can and give you as much detail. And so I wonder if, the concern was, I mean, did he see that car that was parked near the CPS, or was there the possibility he did? And they didn't want anybody to see that car. They didn't even care about what Brad Heath had to say. They didn't care about Cheyenne Mill. A lot of the witnesses were treated really poorly, and there wasn't a lot of interest in speaking to key witnesses. I mean, Cheyenne went down the south end of the bridge at 3:30, and they didn't give a damn about her. They didn't want to talk to her. They were disrespectful, and Brad Heath had to call them multiple times. Even Betsy Blair had to follow up on her sketch. So for whatever reason, they weren't interested in a lot of the information in 2017, and that's suspicious to me.
That is very suspicious behavior on the part of the law enforcement teams, because if a similar sort of crime happened here, even here in UK, they would be quite literally knocking on people's doors,
of course,
going around asking questions. And because, for instance, I used to live in a place called Gloucester. At exactly the same time that Fred and Rose West were actually arrested.
Oh gosh.
And I used to live 3 streets down.
Wow. Oh gosh, that crime, that one really gives me it's so awful.
Yeah, it's one of those. And the thing is, it's like when you get 2 police officers knocking on your door at 8:30 in the morning, they're saying, right, we're advising you not to come out today because something very serious has happened. And only go out if you need to.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, hang on a minute. I ain't done anything. So, no, I'm going to go and do my shopping, thank you.
Yeah.
So, but they did ask me they didn't ask me any questions as such, due to the fact of the distance between the 2 locations. But they were going around advising people, saying only go out if you need to.
Yeah, wow.
Because the entire place was just crawling with police officers.
Goodness.
So
I don't know, and I think you're pretty good. You watch a lot of my videos. The other day, I talked about the Lost Tip fairy tale, and my thesis there is that
you mean the so-called lost tip that was inadvertently found again by Kathy Schenk or somebody.
Yes. So essentially, this story is totally ludicrous from so many angles. And if they're willing to admit that they were so incompetent that they lost multiple pieces of
More than
paper, they never worried about the man on the trail, then my thesis is whatever the truth is must be much worse, right? Because if they're willing to admit to that, and then there's no consequences. You've got Doug Carter, and I picked out some of the parts of his press conference where he's just talking them up like, they gave up, Jerry Holman gave up 8 years of his life. He wouldn't have had to, because according to you, Jerry Holman received the tip about Rick in 2017. Shouldn't Jerry Holman be losing his job if he is that incompetent? Like, it's just ludicrous.
That suggests a level of incompetency that would probably get you arrested and jailed.
Well, I talk about a case here in Australia. Daniel Morecambe was a young teenager that went missing many years ago. And what happened here was that two detectives, similar to this case as the FBI detectives, went and they actually interviewed the true offender just weeks after Daniel went missing. And the lead investigator didn't care. But the reason there that they didn't care was at least a better reason than what we see in Delphi. And essentially it came out years later, and there was actually like a coronial inquest. There was a crime and corruption commission inquest into it. He didn't just get away with it. Like, oh, well, never mind. The poor parents didn't get justice for their child for 8 years, but oh, well, these things happen. It's ludicrous.
It's utterly ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous.
And so, I know I've only ever watched crime shows. I've never been a detective or in a police station in this regard. But I'm going to imagine that what they do in the shows where they all like sit in a conference room and talk about, who was there at the time, I don't think that is something that is just in TV shows. Surely, if there's only one man who places himself on the trails before 2:30, because the rest of them come at about 2:30, surely someone goes, oh, yeah, remember that guy? No, they forgot. But they also suddenly these documents start appearing again in 2022 and all the way up to trial. There's not just one printout, there's like 4.
That in itself is pretty suspicious, to be honest with you.
Every part of that story just screams suspicious, and to the point where like it's absolutely illogical. The testimony of Kathy Shank and to some extent Dan Doolan, both of their testimony, either Kathy Shank has cognitive concerns, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but it just doesn't make sense otherwise, because either that or it's lies. And I hate to say that, but it is. It's because you cannot possibly have found that sheet, the one piece of paper, and then the other one that you printed 3 years earlier.
Yeah. The thing is, the majority of the testimonies given by the stateside people, they had more holes in it than the Hindenburg.
Yeah. Well, I often say I think my kids could tell a better story than that. Like they would see the illogicalness of the story in a second, and they're just little kids. Like what I'm surprised at though is how Baldwin and Rosie and Ojed didn't see it. Like I have a lot of respect for them. I know they cared about Rick, but how did they not see the lost tip story, for example, is totally illogical? How did they not realize that Holman doesn't seem to understand geofencing, and if he does, he's basically admitting that Rick's phone was subject to stage 3 geofencing,
Yeah. I mean, in my old job, I've had to interview people, as a first responder, and the thing is, people give telltale signs whether they're lying or not. For instance, using microfacial transmission. For instance, their entire body language will just give it away.
Yeah.
And in my experience, when somebody is lying in a court of law, I was actually very surprised to learn that neither Andrew Baldwin or Mr. Rossi actually picked up on this.
Yes.
Because they have to. Being part of being a lawyer, you'd obviously have to learn how to pick up on a person's body language.
And I think it's just when you read, I'm sure if you read all the depositions, and I know, look, they had a lot of work to do, and I'm not going to pretend, hindsight's 2020. We have a lot, we can now put it together as a kind of group all together, and they were just a few of them working on it. But it is concerning. The lost tip, as soon as the lost tip came out, the exhibit came out, I looked at it straight away, because to me, that, and I know that's to most of us who query this whole case, most of us wanted to know what Dan Doolan had written and how this tip had suddenly magically appeared. I just don't know why they didn't drill into that further. I think they were just so sidetracked by lots of red herrings and by the Odinism stuff, which I do think there's relevance to that stuff, but I think they kind of leaned in it in a way that, unfortunately, wasn't super helpful.
Yeah. Right. Who's up? Someone just said, "Oh, hey, Christina, how are you, love?"
Yeah, we've got lots of amazing people in here. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I haven't got to say hello to everybody, but I really appreciate you.
I've got to get off, Amy, because I've got a couple of things to do as well.
Well, it was lovely to talk to you, and I can say hi to Kelly for us. And you're welcome anytime.
She says hi.
Thanks for imparting your knowledge, and I'll definitely pick your brain a little bit more about the Norse paganism stuff at some point, because that's definitely not an area I know anything about.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
All right, well, have a great day.
You as well. You take care, all right?
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. How do I get out of this? I don't know.
I'll see if I'll kick you out. Well, that was nice. It was nice to have a chat. Really interesting to hear Anarch's take on a lot of the stuff that, as I said, I am totally clueless about. I don't know anything when it comes to Norse paganism or any of those things. I had my wonderful panel while I was on holiday that talked about symbolism, and that was super useful. But it's definitely an area that I'm going to struggle a lot more to get my head around, rather than the more sort of science, digital stuff that kind of this what my brain is programmed to kind of delve into. But it's really interesting. I don't believe it's a ritual offense. I do believe it could be pseudo ritual, though. I think that's kind of the conclusion that I'm coming to. In what I mean by that is that there is symbolism and elements of sort of symbols from different belief systems, or I don't even know what do we call that category. But I think that there's symbolism. I just don't think that it was motivated by ritual, because that is extremely rare, even rarer than an organized sadistic offender. So I'm going to have a look in the chat, guys, because I was only kind of browsing it, and I wanted to see if there's anything that I've missed. I noticed a few new names and new faces in the chat, so thanks so much for joining. And I know we've got our mix of people who believe Rick's guilty and people who believe Rick's innocent and everything in between. And again, all opinions are welcome. I will always heavily disagree with you if you believe he's guilty, but I will always do so in a kind way. So is that right, See-Through? Am I generally kind and Mustang? I know they're two of my regulars who do believe that Rick is guilty, but we still get on in here. Let's have a look through. I noticed that Dave popped in. Dave, I was mentioning your comment earlier, Dave, as a legal mind. It was great to hear your thoughts, and we'd definitely love to have more of your thoughts. So if you're interested in giving us more of a legal take, I would love to hear more, for sure. Anyone in here who has any expertise or specific knowledge in anything related to the case, let me know. We always need more expertise. I try to figure out things myself using my best buddy, ChatGPT, and my second best buddy, Gemini, but, that has its limits. So if there's people with real experience and understanding of things, please let us know. Nice to see you, BZ Mama. You're a regular here. Lovely to see you. And hi, Neil. Nice to see you too. Who else have I missed? I feel like I've missed people along the way. I'm sorry if I have. T Profile G, nice to see you. Nelly, nice to see you too. Yes, Dave, I saw your email and your comment, and it was much appreciated. And yeah, I did reply to you, and would love to chat more if you have some thoughts around some of the legal kind of aspects of this. I try not to delve too much into areas I have absolutely no knowledge of. So this is where I struggle with the legal stuff and the symbolic ritual stuff, because that's the stuff that I just don't even have any background in at all. Psychology, science, digital stuff. I mean, I don't have a background in digital stuff other than being a very heavy uh, phone and internet user my entire life. No, ChatGPT. Yeah, look, you've got to use it very, very wisely. But I wouldn't trust it on legal stuff. The few times I have, yeah, it's been questionable. I can tell when it's confabulating when it comes to the case in general, and when it comes to scientific stuff. Most of the time, I can't usually tell if it's confabulating about the law because I know nothing about the law. Dave, yeah, it's great to see another Aussie, and I know that we have slightly different laws and systems here, but I'm sure there's still a lot of overlap. So yeah, really cool to have a legal mind in here. Hey Kelly, nice to see you. Kelly, do you have a true crime crush? I'm being silly now. I'm going back to our silly conversation. We're having a bit of frivolity alongside Delphi chats tonight, guys, because I've done lots of serious videos for a while, and I thought it would be nice to have a little bit of a mix today, not just super heavy cognitive load like some of the stuff can be when you get deep into it. Yeah, Christina, it'd be great to see the article that you were mentioning. Definitely, maybe email it to me if you can, Christina. So daisyboo@gmail.com. Very professional address there. Everyone who's new here, Daisy Boo is not me. Daisy Boo is my dog, who unfortunately passed away of an inoperable brain tumor in 2022. But she's my beautiful soul animal up in the sky. My name is Amy G, and yeah, Amy and Daisy, we were a team, and we still are. She's still my little guiding light from the sky. Um, yeah, Kelly, gosh, Kathy Shank, goodness me. I mean, I feel sad because I don't like to throw shade at a sweet senior citizen who was volunteering, but goodness me, it's that story is ludicrous. And I think the point I was trying to make the other day in the fairy tale video, which I kind of tried to go a little bit kind of artsy. I don't know if it's artsy, but it was a slightly different style. And the idea behind it was that if they're willing to make up this ridiculous, implausible story and allow obvious incompetency to be part of the story, then I believe the truth, what really happened with the tip, must be far more problematic for them. And so my belief is that what really happened with the tip is that it was cleared for good reason. I still can't 100% pin that down. I do have theories around the Nelos, digital data, but I can't, I haven't fully figured it out. No worries, Dave, about calling me Daisy. Lots of people do. I love the name Daisy. Daisy is my beautiful, beautiful puppy that I love talking about and remembering. So I'm still trying to get my head around the digital data and what it would look like in reality, because I've got a lot of theoretical understanding. But I believe Rick was cleared for a reason, and I hope that reason is documented somewhere, in some sort of database where it can't be sanitized. But I don't know. I don't know if that will actually happen or if it won't happen. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me sad. It really makes me sad. I think right back at the beginning of today, I was telling a story about how, my kids know what I'm doing and that I'm very much trying to advocate for Rick. Oh, that's right. I got into the sanctuary and the cat and dog topiaries, but I was just talking about, I thought about like Rick Allen being released, and there's not even a tiniest part of me that would feel concerned about that, because I'm so sure he is not a sadistic offender. I don't feel any sense of discomfort about him being released. Yes, Christina, it's a big issue, isn't it? That she had that access to investigative threads as a volunteer. Yeah, I mean, it's highly classified, surely. Yeah, I don't know. It's a worry, isn't it? I know that if you volunteer at my work, again, this is a tiny, psychology practice, that you wouldn't automatically have access to that information. And this is a double homicide investigation. It's concerning, that's for sure. But clearly, as well, it was incredibly. Oh, sorry, the dog just snored next to me, and I lost my train of thought anyway. So it doesn't matter; it'll come back to me. Dave, yes, the best place to go to get information about the case is All Eyes on Delphi's GitHub. Let me get you the link because it's a good one. It's got pretty much, if not every document that you need, and fairly easy to navigate as well. So there you go. I'll pop that on here. Now, I saw someone new come in and I missed your name, so let me say hello. Oh, it keeps not showing me. Hello to the new person. Here we go. Free Me. Hi, Free Me. Nice to see you. It wasn't letting me scroll back up to say hello to you. I just wanted to say hi. Oh, yes, Dave. It is highly suspect. I mean, we could list so many aspects of the case that are flawed. My interest started as a psychologist with the psychology kind of take on this. So Richard Allen was 44 at the time of this crime. He has no history of deviance, no criminal history, stable long-term employment, stable marriage with a wife that stood by him throughout all of this. No skeletons in his closet. Oh, hey, Kelly. Hey, RC. Thanks for joining. And statistically, the chances of him committing a double homicide of unrelated juvenile victims at age 44 is already teeny tiny. There are a tiny group of adult onset offenders, Russell Williams being probably the only one that we could find that was even slightly close because of the age. But Russell Williams' personality and historical just history of who he was, and also what was found in terms of evidence was, an ironclad case. There was leakage, there was escalation, there was stuff found at his home when he was arrested. Whereas Rick Allen, well, none of that. He was incarcerated over 3 years ago, and at no point has there ever been any leakage that has come out about Rick. On top of that, when you look at Rick's personality, the psychology of Richard Allen, he really has a personality that is kind of a polar opposite of a sadistic personality. He's somebody who really struggled with power, in fact, so much so that he would curl up in a ball and struggle to function when he was given some responsibility, like heightened responsibility at work. And so definitely not someone power hungry. And I think the crime scene shows very clear indicators of an organized sexual sadist who has committed this crime, and there are far better candidates for this crime than Rick Allen. Mustang, I get it. I mean, we don't want to attack anyone, and I try never to attack people personally, but I am allowed to say if their actions are improper. And essentially, Kathy Shank's testimony suggests that she found that document in 2022, and yet she printed it in 2019. And I mean, that is a fact. We see she's logged in, the print date. There is no way that we can get around that, and so that's what we're talking about. We're not attacking her as a person, but we're attacking her testimony that doesn't add up, and it just doesn't. You're welcome to attack me if I say something that can be factually proven to be incorrect as well. So it's not attacking the person, but it's attacking the testimony or the logic in what somebody's saying. So, yeah, look, realistically, we've had a panel of 3 psychologists look, and that's myself included, look at Richard Allen and the information from Dr. Westcott, what happened in jail, the interviews of him, the crime, like look at all of this in detail. And we were all of the kind of similar opinion that we're looking at a highly anxious person with low self-confidence, someone who definitely does not lean into the dominance, power, dark tetrad type features that we would expect for the offender of this crime. Okay. So I know I've said this a billion times, but it is so, so important. So, yeah. Yeah, I get that, Dave. I absolutely understand that the good behavior couldn't. I think the forensic, I wonder though if, and again, I mean, maybe I'm being an idealist here, but I think that offender profiles should play a part. I mean, he just does not meet the offender profile. And I don't mean that in the sort of theoretical way. I mean it in the sense of like an offender profile based on history of crime. It's unprecedented that a 44-year-old man with no history of deviance in any way would commit the double homicide of 2 young girls in a sadistic manner, and an organised crime scene. The confession that he makes, apparently, when incarcerated, just does not match the crime scene either. Mustang, the problem with this is, because I know I've heard this before, people say, well, how do we really ever know somebody's personality? Well, we go by data. So it's not just based on what his wife says, it's based on an overall picture. And what I can tell you is that when you look at Ted Bundy, Russell Williams, BTK, Thomas Bruce, a lot of the other names that come up, the reality is that there are multiple people who will express views about that person that are far more in line with sadism. Even the ones that are good, wolves in sheep's clothing, there is leakage. And Richard Allen, there is no leakage. So the absence of any further information is still telling, because by this stage, his name has been in the public media for 3 years. So you would expect at this point some horror stories to come up about him. Yes, I agree, Kelly. Yeah, for sure. If it had been a fair trial, but everything was blocked. Nothing was allowed to be shown that could actually be potentially helpful to his case. And so they were left with, I mean, what was the defense? The headphones in, headphones out, which, as you know, I've unfortunately don't believe and feel is debunked. The digital evidence they used wasn't super helpful. Oh, hey, USA. Nice to see you. Yes, I agree. Russell Williams definitely fits that profile far better. Yes, he started his offences later, but nonetheless, he still has much more of the profile of that. The dark tetrad is what they call it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, quietly. We don't know a lot about Rick, but what we know is that other offenders, we tend to know a lot more about them by this point. Even Thomas Bruce, who's actually a tricky one because there's not a lot of information on him, again, an adult onset offender, you do still have leakage. There are still stories about, his conduct. I think it's at the church and things like that. Like you still again see hints of, again, like I said, the dark tetrad. So that's something that's really important here. Whereas we just do not see any aspect of the dark tetrad in Rick Allen. So what's the dark tetrad? Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, sadism. So even if we just take narcissism, that's actually still really relevant in this case. Rick doesn't have any narcissistic qualities. Yeah. And so I agree. It's not about being a good personality, Dave, but it's more for me, it's about research and evidence patterns of offender profiles. I don't know how often those are allowed into court. FBI profiles and things like that. I know in the old days, FBI profiles were more theoretical, but now when we base it on actual empirical research of the type of offender that commits a sadistic crime. I don't know. To me, it's evidence, it's research, it's science. I would feel like it's probably, it definitely is better validated than comparing an unspent and a spent round, because we're basing this on actual data and statistics. But I defer to you in terms of what the law says. But I agree. It's not just about saying he's a good person. He couldn't have done this. But what we can say is his history, his profile, who he is, doesn't match this type of offender. The reason we know this see-through, sorry, I'm like rapid fire talking today, guys. Apologies for that. I'm on fire. The reason we know that he wasn't caught for other things, the reason we suspect he wasn't caught for other things is because we now live in a world where there is a lot more technology, science, publicity, and as such, if there are historical crimes, particularly if they're in a small town area like Delphi, the chances are they would have been linked by now, and that's at least in my opinion. Yes, could someone slip through the cracks? Potentially. But again, we think of Ted Bundy, we think of BTK, and a lot of the other serial killers, the organized sadistic offenders, there is always leakage. There was no leakage. Right? We've got 3 years of people could have come forward, and yet we hear this in other cases. Sometimes you hear prostitutes come forward. Sometimes you hear colleagues come forward. Sometimes you hear of people who were near miss. You hear a lot more, and we just don't have that with Rick. Mustang, you're basing that on a theory that is related to one person's. Oh, sorry, I don't know which comments I'm putting up. Sorry, Kelly, nice to put your comment up. I don't actually know what the comment says, especially when you go up. Yes, I agree with you, Kelly. So I'm glad I popped that one up on the screen. Yeah, I mean, the thing is the interview of that person who said they worked with Rick and he behaved in a creepy way. First of all, is not verified. Second of all, if even if he behaved in that way, it's creepy. It's not leakage. And thirdly, that was just an idea that's why, from that person, of why he was moved on from Walmart. But my sense is, if that were the case, law enforcement had subpoenaed employment records, and nobody's ever actually verified that he ever lost his job or was moved along because of any sort of sexual harassment. I always go back to the story of this colleague. First of all, I mean, how do we verify that it is a true story? Second of all, the behavior was not nice, but it wasn't sort of like deviant in, again, the dark tetrad type way of deviance that we're referring to. And thirdly, what I couldn't understand was if this person didn't like him and found him creepy, I'm not too sure why they went to his house to have a barbecue, because he wasn't someone, like, it wasn't that they were forced to do that. No see-through. We don't ignore stories we don't like, but we do need things to be verified. I mean, I find a lot of people who believe Rick's guilty ignore scientific research and validated studies. But what I'm suggesting here is, I'm not really going to hold a lot of credibility for an anonymous story that can't be verified. So no, I don't think we ignore things that are factual, or we ignore things that are validated. Unfortunately, I believe that most people who think Rick is guilty and feel very passionately about it, I don't like saying this, but I think it's true, ignore evidence in favor of his innocence. People ignore, I mean, and I do probably get a bit more cranky about it, because as a career psychologist, I've had people completely ignore any of the psychological evidence that I've suggested at various times. And psychology is a science, and it is evidence-based. It's not just me going, I think he's nice, I like him. I've said before, do I sometimes get intuitive vibes? Yes, but I don't rely upon them. So, yeah. Yeah, Kelly, I'm with you. I mean, I, again, can't diagnose someone I've never met, but I would be querying neurodivergence as well for Rick. Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of rich psychological assessment that could be done to really fully understand him and to actually help him, because I think he spent most of his life not, not really being able to get the treatment that he needed for his mental health issues. Oh, hey, Christopher. Nice to see you. Dave, that's a funny one. Being creepy is not admissible. Well, that's good. I'm a bit creepy. No, I'm joking. I am creepy. I definitely am creepy. I have a funny sense of humor, and I'm loud, and I always say I'm a bit silly. So I'm glad that can't be used against me too badly. So it's more what I'm getting at in terms of the psychology, guys, is whether or not it's admissible or not is one thing, but what I also am getting at is statistics matter. And a person with Rick's background, not just based on his personality, but based on, characteristics, history, just the overall conceptualization of Rick, a person like that committing a crime like this is unprecedented. I have asked people time and time again, give me a case that is a person like Rick who committed a crime like this, and I'm willing to go and look into it. We did that with Russell Williams, and yet Russell Williams, if you conceptualize him again through a psychological lens, he does show indicators and leakage of dark tetrad traits. Again, have I met Rick? No, but I've had as much information about Rick as I have about Russell Williams, and there's nothing in that information that could be used to identify any dark tetrad traits. So psychology, again, guys, is based on statistics and evidence. It's not based on vibes. I have to keep repeating that because I feel like it's not necessarily, I feel like it's not necessarily always respected, which is a bit upsetting. I don't know as well if it's different in different countries. In Australia, psychology is very highly respected as a science. It may not be the same in the States, perhaps. I don't know. But look, we don't know anything. Mustang, I guess the thing that I often use with this is like, well, I could say to you, my dogs speak fluent French. And you could go, well, no, they don't. I'll be like, but how do you know? You've never seen them not speak French. How can you prove they don't speak French? How do you know? They could speak French to me, but you just haven't seen it. And if I told that story, most people go, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. Of course your dogs don't speak French. And yet it's the exact same thing I'm talking about when it comes to Rick. I have not seen a 44-year-old man with no history of deviance, with no leakage, no escalation, commit such a heinous double homicide that is organized and has sadistic qualities and a signature. It's a very rare crime, right? It's incredibly rare. The type of person that commits a crime like that is going to show indicators. And if they didn't, then realistically, we should be able to see other people like that over history, and yet we don't. I did, Christopher. That's what we were gonna talk a little bit about today, but nobody really wanted to talk about. But we did talk a little bit, and it came in earlier about Norse paganism. So the Turco interview is interesting. Again, shows questionable actions from law enforcement, doesn't it? Oh, hey Charles, nice to see you. My take still is that the sticks are not runes. I still believe that there are symbolic elements to the crime scene. I still think the sticks are bracing and, scaffolding of the bodies. USA Libertarian. Let's go with the tea leaves for sure. The tarot cards. If we go, let's go with the tarot cards. I'm not mocking. Look, I shouldn't be mocking that because I actually I don't know enough about stuff to say, well, that's definitely not. But I guess I always go with what is evidence based. Confirmation bias is problematic, yes, but evidence is important, guys, and if you're following the evidence, then there's far less confirmation bias. RC, I thought what he said. Look, I have to go into it in more detail, but I thought he said it's possible, it's highly plausible. But I think he was quite measured in what he said. I don't know. I mean, could they have runic aspects to them too? I feel like he was somewhat hesitant. I think the key point is that Jerry Holman basically could not have forgotten, or whatever, the law enforcement agents couldn't have forgotten about this interview. And Jerry Holman absolutely seems like he's trying to push the responses in a certain direction. I just don't think it's a ritual crime. I think it's a pseudo-ritual crime. That's what we were kind of talking about way back at the beginning. And I'll definitely do some more videos on that. Yeah. Oh, no, Casey, I didn't mean you thought I was suffering with confirmation bias. I definitely have, at times noticed my bias. I think the thing that's really important for me to always spell out is in the early days, I was on the fence. I definitely leaned more towards Rick being innocent, but then I'd flip-flop. And essentially to me, that was like I didn't want to believe he was guilty at times, but then I would lean towards a piece of evidence and go, well, maybe he is, and then I'd look at it further and go, no, I don't think he is. Like I really absolutely dig into everything and try to look at it from both angles. So yeah, I always try to back everything I can up with evidence. So even going to your point, see-through, memory for different people, like we're not good at remembering every person we saw. And I think that's really important as well. Do we all agree that Jerry Holman has lied? Can we at least all agree on that, even if we can't all agree on the rest of the case? I think, we've got a fair have we got a mod in here? Let's we're going to time out Rocky. Sorry, Rocky, we're not here to make fun of people's appearances. That's not kind. Who's our mod in here? We got a mod. Kelly, you're the mod. Can I get you to use your mod privileges? Okay, we all agree that Jerry Holman is not the most truthful of people, and yet Doug Carter really rates him, right? I don't get that. I don't get it at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think we can, we can factually see that there are things that are incorrect that people are saying, and I think it's a fair point to say that that person is lying. See-through knows my theory. I think that, not I think that, Bree Wilbur herself says that they saw one or two people as they were heading back from the High Bridge. We've got to remember again that Bree Wilbur's interview from 2017 seems to be one of the ones that may have been recorded over because there's no referencing to it. They continue to reference the later interview. I think it's in 2020. The fact is that teenage girls taking selfies, hanging around, having fun, aren't going to remember the shorter, middle-aged man that walks by and is unassuming. Why would he think that they look weird? Because they are laughing and loud, and Rick is someone who doesn't really enjoy being in those social settings, according to Kathy, right? And I think that I still cannot go past the fact that he says They're headed back to where the cars were parked. There are no cars parked anywhere that he discusses that day other than the Mears entrance. So if he sees them at the Freedom Bridge and they're leaving, that's not where the cars are parked. So I don't agree that him seeing Aurelie Voorhees is a nail in the coffin. And I don't think that I'm trying to overreach there. He literally says back to where the cars were parked. And I think Doolan adds lib and says the trailhead is Freedom Bridge, but both the trail split and the trailhead can be called the trailhead. They're both interchangeably called the trailhead. I just think, though, those notes, Dan Doolan's notes, that we'll never see the written ones, do we? Because he kept the original, but then he photocopied it and handed in the photocopy and then scanned and emailed himself the original, but not the handwritten notations on the back. And then somehow he printed out the copy again and had it in a binder. Like, come on, guys. How does that logically work? He doesn't say he does. I don't think he says he doesn't know if they were going to turn around and go back to the Mears. He said well, look, we can listen to him again. Do you want to listen to him again? I'm happy to, because he definitely doesn't say, I think they might have been turning around. Because if they were, he would have seen them then, because that's the direction he's heading. So I disagree on that still. Let me just see. I'm going to pull up the interrogation video. Let's listen to him word for word. Notice the PCA has so many of these parts to it that are questionable. I mean, why on earth did they put the IMEI, Mead, Hex stuff in the PCA? It's not relevant at all. It's not adding to probable cause. Wesley McWhirter, I keep going back to this one. Apparently, the way it's worded is he sees a small dark car parked at the CPS, but then they say he's leaving work at 2:18, but they don't say he sees the car at the CPS as he's leaving work. It's deliberately written in a way that obscures the meaning. It's just, to me. And then on top of that, they don't use Wesley McWhirter at trial, because I'm sorry, but if somebody saw the dark car parked there at 2:18, then that would be really suspicious, wouldn't it? Because that means he's still parked there as the girls are being abducted. Well, no, it's not even 2:18. I think it's 2:28. So it's like there's stuff like that where it's like that PCA is worded in a really cautious way, isn't it? To kind of obscure things. At least that's how I see it. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist usually, guys. I didn't come into this case thinking that it would be a conspiracy theory, but I'm sorry. That is very, to me, very conspiratorial. Okay, let me see if I can find Rick's interview, and we will look at it again. Make it full screen, and I'll share this tab instead. And wait a second, guys. I'm just fiddling around with StreamYard. Thanks everyone for joining. I know there's a lot of people in here. Really appreciate it. I've had a pretty big day. It's my first day working back after the new year, and I've definitely had a big day today, and so I'm a bit on fire at the moment. And apologies if I do get a little bit short sometimes with certain things. It's just like I said, I think it gets a bit tricky when I feel like, things that are evidence-based and that are my kind of area of expertise and specialization are kind of getting just seen as though they're just vibes. It's kind of annoying sometimes, guys. I try to be patient, but sometimes I definitely get triggered when people say that the psychology doesn't matter. And I'm not talking about you, Dave. I know you were saying psychology may not be used in court. I mean more just when people sort of suggest that psychological research is not meaningful, even in understanding, Rick and the case. I think that's tough. Okay. We don't know, see-through, whether he denied being on the bridge. Essentially, I've said this before, and I want you to really think about this. If your husband or you were on the trails the day that something like this happened, nobody's going to interrogate their partner about whether they went on the bridge or not, first of all. Secondly, there could be other reasons. I think someone speculated, and I thought it was a really good speculation. Hey, Critter Mama, about, maybe Kathy didn't want Rick on the bridge. He's somebody who, maybe she was scared of that bridge for a start. Secondly, he's somebody who had, self-harm ideation. I don't know. I just think that realistically there's got to be, some consideration of how you would behave. I know that if my partner were there, I would not be asking him, did you go on the bridge? Did you go across the bridge? I mean, maybe he said, I didn't cross the bridge. He didn't cross the bridge. So, yeah, USA Libertarian, 100%. I'm with you. That's what I was thinking too. Thanks, Christopher. Thank you. For Chris, I was just saying, for agreeing with me about the leakage thing. Thank you. Oh, okay, Mustang, I hope you're not referring to me as a person you wouldn't go to if you have mental health issues. That's a shame. But, I think most people can tell that I'm a very passionate mental health practitioner, and also someone who does a lot of research into trying to understand human beings. So, and I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to look at the research and use that to inform me in all different endeavors, but particularly in treating my clients. Oh, good. Okay, Mustang. I wasn't sure if you were talking about me. Okay. Okay. So, see-through. Do we have the timestamp of when he's talking about what he saw? I can't actually remember now. I had it noted down before.
And my wife said, they want to talk, because I had obviously told her that I was there. And she said they want to talk to anybody that was there.
You know what? This is going to be annoying, isn't it? Trying to find this, guys. Let me see if I can find the transcript, and then that way we can find the timestamps. Goodness, guys, this has become a long just a random chat, but I'm happy to continue because we've got lots of people in here. I know that it's a very contentious case, and I totally agree that understand that everybody isn't going to agree on things. Look, I don't want to kind of get heated about it, but I know it's hard not to because we all have very strong opinions here. So, I will show the video, see-through. I'm just going to look at the interview so we can figure out where we're looking at the video because I can search on the PDF. Okay, let's see, girls. Okay, 24 minutes and 56 seconds. 24 minutes and 56 seconds. I was close. The back, guys. I was pretty close. All right, we'll start from here, guys. I know most of us have probably heard this so many times, but let's listen to it again. Oops, I skipped it. Guys, my laptop is jamming. It's like too much.
But shortly, I don't remember how or why. I think they were really busy, obviously, crowded probably. So I was heading down to, it was the Stable Lot parking lot down there, and I told him I would just meet him there if that was okay. So he came down, we talked. He looked at my phone, took my phone information, and I think he got some, we took the battery out and everything, he got information on those. So that's pretty much it. And I gave him the account. Forgive me, it's been years and I thought about it a lot. As time goes on, it's like I said, I think I was there probably around noon. It could have been a little before noon or a little after noon.
Okay. first thing I want to say about the change in time, this is consistent with research on cognition and memory. So realistically, there's something called the telescoping effect. It's a known cognitive phenomenon. Remembering time is really tricky to begin with, and we tend to see things as closer together the longer the time has passed, if that makes sense. We kind of anchor it to the known times. So the change in time, that's just a glitch of the brain, and most of us would make that mistake.
Walk down, back an hour, so probably 1:30, 1:45, depending on exactly what time it was that I got there that day. I just remember walking down.
And notice how he says 1:30, 1:45. Like, he's so inexact with the time, and that's completely consistent with what we would expect when you're being tested on your memory so far from the original incident. So he's not saying 12 till 12:30. He's not saying 1 till 2. He's saying 1:40, 1:30, 1:45.
Trail, and I told him that when I was approaching the trailhead, I guess is what I call it, there was 3 girls walking off the trail, and I just remember it looking like one of them was probably watching, not babysitting, but watching the other 2 because they looked a little younger. And they looked very similar. I don't know if they were sisters or whatever, but the other one didn't necessarily. But I remember seeing them walking off the trailhead, and I didn't really see anybody. I walked down, like I said, I looked at the water, I walked back, and I said, I mean, somebody could have walked.
Okay, so that's the first time he mentions it. So he doesn't talk about the cars that time. So I get it. Trailhead is what I call it. But a lot of people call the trail split the trailhead too. So from that statement there, it's not 100%, because he could have said, I saw them going on, towards the Freedom Bridge. He doesn't say that. He doesn't anchor with the Freedom Bridge either. I'm not saying that he should definitely say that. I'm saying it's not as clear as it seems, because there are 2 trailheads at the Monon High Bridge trails. There is what most people refer to as the trailhead, which is called the trail split. And Kelsey German, Derek German, I think Becky Paddy as well, I think also mention the trail split as the trailhead. So that was considered the trailhead back then as well. He also later on calls the trailhead, the newer trailhead, that new thing they were doing. So, even the fact that he says, I call it the trailhead, he doesn't know which one the trailhead is. So it could be either. But that's okay. Let's have a look at the next part where he does talk about the cars. Give me 1 sec. I've got to find it. Okay, 40 minutes and 15 seconds, I think.
You don't want to get over somewhere, especially because usually if I am driving, it's because she's at work and I don't want to end up having to get stranded somewhere. But that was more recently, so that's why I don't know which. It was either the gray or the black one that day. It could have been the black one, could have been the gray one. Okay. It was an 06 4500.
So then you get on the trails and you say you saw 3 girls. Where was it? You saw the 3 girls?
They were around the trail. I mean, I didn't interact with them. It was up around the trailhead somewhere.
So you walked around.
Like when I say they were leaving, yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming they were leaving. They came from down where those cars parked, and they were going to go back that way.
So he says they came from where those cars were parked. I don't know. My computer glitched, so I hope it didn't glitch for you guys. They came from where those cars were parked and were headed back there. Now, again, where were those cars parked? At the farmer's entrance. There was nowhere else that cars were parked that day. They literally asked him that. And so if they've come from where the cars were parked and are heading back there, then the only place they could be headed to is the Mears lot. But see through, if they were walking from Mears to Freedom Bridge, they came from where the cars were parked and then they were heading back there. But why would he assume that if he saw them at Freedom Bridge? That wouldn't be a sensible assumption unless they were already headed back from Freedom Bridge towards the trail split. But again, he doesn't say he walks beside them or anything like that, or that they follow him or he's following them. I don't know. I think it's open to interpretation. I'm not saying that my view is 100% totally clear. I think it's really unclear either way. I don't think that we can really be sure what he's referring to there. When did McCain show up, Jenny? It was on one of those documents, see through that document that you directed me to. I think it's about 2:40 something, because Dave Riley's the next person to show up at 2:30. He's the first person after Betsy Blair leaves. So I think McCain arrives at about 2:45. So in terms of where the cars were parked, he refers to seeing two cars at the end. That doesn't mean he didn't assume that there were cars there earlier or not. Like, that's the thing. I mean, he's putting together an entire story. Actually, I think it was Dee that said this the other day. I think it was when we were chatting, and she made a really good point, because he's putting together a story after the fact. So he knows how everything transpired now. So even if there weren't cars parked there then, he knows cars were parked there later. I mean, this is just how memory works. We really, when we try to interpret his words, we can't take anything as exact, because memory is super, super poor, guys. It really is. I honestly say, if you went on a walk in the last week even and you try to remember exactly what you saw when, most of us do not remember, right? So it's just stuff like that. I mean, I was out in my garden today. Do I know what time I came in from the garden? No. Can I remember every person I saw? No. Do I remember the cars that drove past, even though I was weeding right near my front path? No. So yeah, I think we've got to, relying upon things is tricky. It really is. See-through, that's because Rick doesn't seem to know. Sorry, I'll put your comment on the stage. I just realized I'm responding to you. Rick doesn't seem to know the names of anything there. And also he doesn't think he needs to scrutinize everything, because he's not overly concerned that they're trying to trip him up at that point. And I agree with you, the interrogations are not great. Either is the interview by Dan Doolan, if literally that summary that we see is all he got. I mean, they should have been asking more questions. I mean, they should be having him look at the trail map that I've made, because they don't even have a good trail map. And I made my own one because I absolutely can't stand the maps that they use, because they really did not help us to make sense of the trails. So I'm going to see if I can pull up my map, because this map was the only way that I could actually figure out what everyone's talking about, where people are coming from, which direction, because it's really hard without a map, and the maps they've got are not super clear. Yeah, here we go. Here it is. I'll pop it up on the screen. Oh, 1 second. Here we go. So when we look at this map, I find this a lot easier to refer to. And essentially, if he says the trailhead, this is the trailhead, but so is this, right? So this is Freedom Bridge. Yes, it's written in Dan Doolan's report. I don't think he's scrutinizing it. I mean, look, I'm the sort of person who doesn't read very carefully, to be honest, so I can relate to this. But if he says he didn't say as I got on the trail, he said I was approaching the trailhead. So it could be this or it could be this. And then he says, I assumed they had come from where the cars were parked. This is the only place, and were headed back there. So if he sees them here, then that means they're walking the same, on the same path as him back to those cars. And that's not what he indicates. He doesn't say he comes up behind them and overtakes them. It seems as though he sees them face to face. I don't know. I could be wrong. At the end of the day, it's hard to be sure of that. But I guess what we also know is he says he sees 2 cars when he gets up from the 505 bench and heads back to his car. Now, the only time 2 cars are at the Mears Farm entrance is when Kelsey German drops the girls off. So if he's bridge guy, he should already be on the bridge by that point. If we're believing he's the lone offender and he's the bridge guy, well, Betsy Blair sees him on the bridge. So he either is already on the bridge and is bridge guy, or he gets up from the 505 bench and sees the 2 cars. It can't be both. So he talks about seeing an SUV and a sedan, 2 cars. That configuration is only there at 150, 149. So at that point, there's no way that bridge guy could see those 2 cars parked there. You can't see them from the Monon High Bridge. So lucky guess, possibly, but kind of unlikely, I think. And particularly given the timeline that I rest on is that he was there between 1 and 2. And so that would make sense. He left, he got up from the bench and he sees the cars parked there. And he admits there could be people at the cars. He doesn't know. It's just a quick glance. Yes, Betsy Blair would pass behind him, see-through, and behind him on the bench. So if she's on her phone, if she's like listening to music or whatever, like she's not going to be super aware of the guy on the bench behind the tree, and he's not going to be super aware of her. And I did mention before there are, I guess what does research show us is that we can kind of be prompted to action without even recognizing what prompted us to action. So he's looking at the car see-through after Betsy Blair has passed the trail split when Kelsey German's pulled in. So Betsy Blair would be well past the trail split by that point because Kelsey German doesn't see Betsy Blair. So Betsy Blair's about 2 minutes ahead of the girls. So in order for him to see the 2 cars, he doesn't get up when Betsy Blair's headed towards him. So anyway, guys, I mean, I can argue these points forever. I mean, none of us know for sure. I'm giving you an alternative, but I'm always open to saying no one can be sure. I admit that it's not ironclad, the timeline that I'm giving, but I think then we also have to admit that the other option isn't ironclad either. Yes, see-through. I've talked about this in the timeline video. So Bridge Guy could easily walk behind on that path, and Rick wouldn't be super aware of that. So, yeah. I'm going to finish up because it's 11 o'clock here. It was past 11 and it is school holidays. So I have my kiddies. We have a big day planned again tomorrow. So I'm not going to continue right now, but I will absolutely do some more of these. Apologies if I got snarky, guys. I hope I didn't. I definitely can debate a lot. I was talking to Dee earlier today and I was like, I am a very pig-headed person. I don't give up easily. I'm not easily influenced. But I don't think I'm being unnecessarily stubborn here. I'm just giving alternate explanations because I don't think anyone can say with certainty that their timeline or their interpretation is definitely correct. And that includes mine. And I've never stated it was. I've always stated that there are gaps as well in my timeline. So none of us know for sure. And because the investigators never asked the right questions and took down the right details and recorded things properly, we may never know. And I think that's one thing we all agree on. The investigation was not worthy of Doug Carter's speech where he puts them all on a pedestal, because I'm sorry, this was not a good investigation at all. Hey, BH. I think the defense, they got very stuck on a couple of things, and I think in being stuck on a couple of those different themes, they missed some of the other stuff. And look, I've never been a lawyer. I've never worked a case like this. I don't want to propose that you know, they should have seen those things. Probably the best analogy I can give is when I supervise clinicians, I often see so much more than when I'm actually clinically working with a client. And I don't mean that. I mean, look, obviously I know more about my clients than my supervisees' clients, but it's like you see things differently when you're doing it from a distance. So, yeah, I think sometimes we get a much better picture from a distance than if we were in it as the lawyers working on this case. And I always want to say that because I do think Andy, Brad, and Jennifer really cared about Rick, and they really wanted to do the best they could for him. And all credit to them for that. I just think that there were some angles that I personally would dig a little bit further. But I agree, RC. Yeah, definitely. The third party stuff would have really helped them. And then maybe they wouldn't have had to dig into some of these other angles. It would have created reasonable doubt in and of itself. And I think when that was pulled from them, it's hard to recalibrate. And we've got to remember that in July of 2024, just a couple of months before the trial started, they were still not they still didn't seem to be in possession of all of the discovery that they needed. They were still not sure where the cast report was. The geofencing was all muddled up. Like, they weren't given the information either properly or fully, and there's a lot of stuff that they wouldn't have even had time to integrate into their case at that point. They were pushed off the case for a period of time. You know, there's just so much going on. Yeah. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about with the Fitbit at the moment. I missed that conversation. I know that there are people who say the Fitbit doesn't align with the Hoosier Harvest store footage. I don't see it that way, but yeah, definitely happy to look at that in a bit more detail at some point if need be. I know that there's some misinterpretation of the Fitbit bars as indicating that they don't match the timestamps, but I think it's to do with the interpretation of the graph. If you interpret one of the bars as being 15 minutes earlier, which is easy to do on those graphs, then it's gonna completely throw it. But I do think the Fitbit data matches quite well with the Hoosier Harvest store footage, as far as I can see. Okay, guys, I'm super tired. Have a wonderful rest of the day and evening or morning or whatever time of the day you guys are in. I'm going to have a sleep. Christina, I agree with you. Hoosier Harvest footage in general is pretty problematic. I agree with you on that. Okay, guys, all the best. Bye.